Manchester City are off to the seaside. Get your spade, get your bucket. We need to dig ourselves out of this hole we find ourselves in as Manchester City fans. It's a tough time right now. I am doing a watch long. The game starts 5:30 in the UK. Come and join me for this game because this is going to be the beginning of something. This is the beginning of something huge for Manchester City. Which way? I don't actually know because it could go either way, really. Talk about sitting on the fence. The fence is firmly up my arse saying something like that. But still, it rings so true because if we win this game against Brighton, the narrative is gone. It flips on its head and Manchester City can go into the international break resting players, talking about Kevin De Bruyne getting some very much needed rest. Could Ilkay Gundogan come back with a new vein of form? Foden played very well against Sporting Lisbon, I thought, in particular in the first half, got himself a goal as well. He could do with a little bit of rest as well as the form that he could gain if Erling Haaland scores. We're all singing again, aren't we? We're all loving it, and we could go top of the league with Liverpool not facing Aston Villa till the 8 o'clock kickoff the same day. But, I mean, what a moment this could be if we lose as well, going the other way, because we've got a disastrous set of fixtures that could well be a horrible look. You know, if we look at that fixture list, following a defeat to Brighton, which would be 4 losses in a row. 4 losses in a row would be unthinkable for Manchester City. You know, we're not talking about moments here. We're talking about a real vein of form now. We're not talking about, little one-off moment here, one-off moment there, bad day at the office. We're talking about a genuinely, a season problem here. A long-term problem is what we could be looking at here, because following that, we've got Spurs at home, Liverpool away, we've got Forest away coming up. We've got United at home coming up. We've got Palace away coming up. Horrible, horrible games that if you add 4 losses in a row in front of those games, all those games just look, just sickening. Sickening fixtures. But if we beat Brighton, I'm confident in going into the Spurs game. And it's just such a fickle game, isn't it, that we all love. We all follow this sport for this exact reason, for moments like this. Season-defining moments, potentially, because this is pick your lane now. You know, we've reached that fork in the road. Where's your attitudes at? Where's your momentum at? You know, where's your quality at? You know, the players that we have at our disposal, we should be going to Brighton and beating them. But there is no denying the form that we're in. The feel-good factor's gone. But one win, bang, we are back. We are absolutely back. And Manchester City, I mean, Brighton, they're mixed right now. I feel like looking at their form on the league table, they're 8th. I know, and right now you're thinking, well, 8th, that's not very good, is it? But they're only 3 points off 3rd. So it just shows how much quality is in this league right now. With Forest being the team in 3rd. Do you know what I mean? Who would have thought that at the start of the season? With Chris Wood firing on all cylinders. We've got them coming up, so this is not about Forest, this is about Brighton. But I mean, their form is mixed right now. They have, you could look at their home form at the Amex Arena. 5 games undefeated, but 3 of them were draws. 0-0 against Ipswich. That's not a good result at all. 2-2 against 10-man Forest. That's okay, because you can look at Forest. And 2-2 against Wolves as well, all at home. So their home form isn't absolutely scintillating. They have got some good results as well. They started the season very well, going away to United and beating them as well, doing very good football there. But ultimately now, I'm not sure where Brighton are at, to be honest, because I thought they were a little bit unfortunate against Liverpool. They have faced them 2 times in a row now, Liverpool, once in the League Cup and once in the Premier League. I thought in the Premier League they were a little bit unlucky. I felt like they did deserve to lose in the League Cup, but the Premier League game, I thought they were dominating the game for long periods of the game, and that was at Anfield. So, I mean, and Danny Welbeck as well. I mean, who'd have thought he would turn it into an absolute superstar all of a sudden? So there's a lot of surprise packages this season. In particular, when you look at Danny Welbeck, I mean, you know what you get with Matoma, though. Going down that left wing, he's going to be a constant thorn in the side. Who is Pep going to put up against him? I'm going to get onto the tactics in a minute and see what Pep could possibly do to nullify the threat of Matoma. And I'm worried about what Pep's going to do in that particular position, because Rico Lewis, he does need a rest, which you know what that means. You know what that means, unfortunately, Blues. So, I mean, I don't know what Pep's going to do. I've got an idea of what I want to see and what we're probably going to see, which they don't really line up, unfortunately. But yeah, 6 goals for Danny Welbeck and 2 assists in 10 games. 8 goal involvements in 10 games, so he's a major, major threat. And he's become a very good footballer as well. He drops deep, collects the ball, holds it up really well, brings other players into the game really, really well. And I mean, Danny Welbeck is not someone who I would thought would be a genuine threat to Manchester City, but I really believe he is now. You know, the Jorginho Rutter as well, he's playing alongside him, not quite getting the same numbers as Danny Welbeck, but it's still a genuine threat. Team news, I'm going to give you that now. Webster, Milner, Solly March, out. Definitely out. Lewis Dunk and Minter are doubts and unlikely for the game, which is a big, big blow. So you talk about Manchester City's injuries. I've just named 5 players there that are pretty important to Brighton's starting 11, especially Lewis Dunk. Milner's in and out, but Minter's been a quality addition to their squad as well. João Pedro could return for this game. I'm not sure he will, but if he does, another threat that they've got. I think he's a very good player. I think he's another player that's mixed for me. On his day, he's unplayable, but some games he does go missing for me. But again, someone who you don't really want to be facing, because I feel like if he picks tomorrow to be his day, then City have got more work cut out for them. With Danny Welbeck and Matoma, you add João Pedro to that, it's going to be a dangerous Brighton side that we could face. In terms of City, you're looking at Rodri, the usual, Oscar Bob, Ruben Diaz, Stones and Grealish. Diaz, Stones and Grealish are expected to be back after the international break, which is why I think if we win this game, you're looking further into the future now, ahead of the international break. Once that week's finished, we could be seeing the return of Diaz, Stones and Grealish. Already we've seen a 5-minute cameo against Sporting Lisbon for Kevin De Bruyne. Will he get minutes in this game? I'm pretty sure he won't start the game because I feel like Pep's trying to protect him going into the international break, and then after that unleash the absolute phenom that is Kevin De Bruyne, and hopefully he can hit the heights that we all know that he can achieve in a Manchester City shirt. And then Grealish comes back, Stones, Diaz to solidify and give us options at the back as well. And all of a sudden, like I said, things are very, very different at Manchester City. But the tactics that we're going up against with Brighton are going to be fascinating. Fascinating because they do play a 4-4-2 defensive structure, which I think is interesting because predominantly 3 weeks ago, I would have said brave. If you're going to play 4 at the back against Manchester City, because I felt like in the last year or so, teams that have achieved the most success against Manchester City tend to have had 5 at the back, just to completely swamp Erling Haaland with defenders. We lost to Spurs, 4 at the back. We lost to Bournemouth, 4 at the back. You know, Sporting Lisbon with 3 at the back, effectively, with wing-backs pushing. At times, they were 5 at the back. So that was a little bit more versatile. But still, Brighton have predominantly played 4 at the back all season. 4-4-2, sometimes 4-2-3-1. So I think it's going to be really interesting what Brighton do. Their build-up play is fascinating as well because it's got a nice mixture of short build-up play with the 2 centre-backs dropping deep to play alongside Verbruggen, the goalkeeper, and giving options. And then do you press and free up players behind you, or do you go man for man in midfield? It's a difficult situation, and it's what City tend to do, in truth, in terms of the build-up play. But they do have that direct option as well, going into Ruta or to Danny Welbeck as the third man option to play off him as well. So they've got direct options as well, which, again, very difficult to stop. Where their weaknesses for me, though, is their high line, because they seem to have a flat back 4, and the counter press is so aggressive, like City should be doing. We're not doing it effectively enough this season, with Kovacic, who's struggling to enact the counter press quite as well as Rodri does. But I mean, comparing him to Rodri is pretty harsh, because Rodri's one of the best in the world at doing that job. The counter press is so important to City's build-up play and overall play. The same for Brighton. But the problem with Brighton and the problem with Manchester City is what comes with a counter press, because you're so high up the pitch, you're leaving big gaps behind you. And that's what City have been destroyed with this season. And you're thinking about Danny Welbeck, who's not slow, Matoma, who's very quick. You know, could we see other players hitting us on the counter-attack for Brighton? But the same the other way, because they have a high line. So could Erling Haaland, for once this season, have acres of space to run into? Which is great news for Manchester City if that proves to be the case. And we've just got to find him. Pick your moments. Don't get caught offside, which is one of Haaland's strong points, is he very rarely gets caught offside. One of his strongest points is timing of his run, because he trusts his speed. He doesn't need to go early because he's quicker than everyone else in that back line. You know, and if we can utilise that against Brighton, I think we could be in business here. And I'm getting confident, and I don't know why. I don't know where it's coming from, to be honest. I haven't even had my breakfast, so I don't even know where this confidence is coming from. Maybe the first half against Sporting Lisbon. You know, we did play well. You won't want to talk about it. City fans are very doom and gloom right now, and I get it. We're not doing well right now. But ultimately, that first half performance, if we can control the game for a longer period of time rather than it just being focused on one half and then falling apart in the second half, if we play like that for the duration, as we did in the first half against Sporting, we beat Brighton, and we beat them reasonably well. And I've got a funny feeling we will. Right, predicted starting 11. Let's go with Brighton first. Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside. Verbruggen in net. Igor in the middle. And no Lewis Dunk means Van Heck will likely be playing. Estepunian is left back. Veltman, right back. Now, what they do in the middle is interesting. They've got so much versatility, because, I mean, you're looking at the likes of Baleba, who's obviously a central defensive midfielder. I'm pretty sure he will be playing. Hinshelwood, who's actually been playing right back. He's played left back. He's played defensive midfield. And he's played central midfield, the young lad. He's only 19 years old, and I think he's got the most minutes for Brighton this season. So he's obviously trusted, very much so, in the Brighton shirt this season. So I think he will be playing. Fabian Herzler is absolutely adores this kid, obviously, because he keeps playing him. Kadioglu scored against Liverpool, and I think they will use that form, but he too shows a lot of versatility. He's played right back, he's played left back, he's played left wing, he's played right wing. I think he could play on the right. You could see Adingra play there, who's someone who definitely offers speed on the counter-attack, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Adingra in instead of him. I'm just thinking the fact that he scored against Liverpool, he's got the wind behind his sails, so maybe he will be trusted in that regard. And on the left, it will be Matoma, who is, I mean, if we were to sell Jack Grealish, this is a player we should be at least looking at, considering, because Matoma's lethal on his day. He's dipped a little bit the last year or so, but injuries have played a big part in the last year of football for Matoma, and it's definitely going to be Danny Welbeck and Jorginho Ruta, who, again, there's the 4-4-2 system. We could see it alternate a little bit with the two defensive midfielders staying where they are. Ruta dropping deep, Danny Welbeck being a focus 9, and Kadioglu and Matoma maintaining the width. So you could see a system that inverts into a 4-2-3-1 instead, but ultimately it's the high line. City need to try and expose that. But will they do it? So many teams have a set template of how they play in every game, but the one game where they change, it's Manchester City, because of the way we play is so dominant. But I think teams are starting to not respect us quite as much, and they're getting points because of it. They're not scared of us quite as much as they used to. They're taking the game to us. We need to use that to our advantage now. Understand that they're not playing as low blocks. Spurs didn't do it. Bournemouth didn't do it. Sporting didn't do it. They beat us. All three beat us, and none of them presented a low block. They took the game to us. So take the game back to them. Do you know what I mean? Use that to your advantage. Find the spaces, because there will be spaces if they're taking the game to us. There has to be. They can't have one without the other. So come on. City, Ederson in goal. Right, I'm going to do what I want to see happening. So this is the team I want, and then I will do the team that I think Pep will pick. I'm going to go with Akanji. I want Nathan Ake in the middle. Josko, left centre-back. In the midfield, Rico Lewis, who does need a rest. He needs a rest, but I mean, who's going to go there? Kovacic, you could say, I know people are going to say Nunes, but we can't be playing Kevin De Bruyne or Gundogan for me, because I think Gundogan's form, De Bruyne's injury is a concern. He needs the rest. So I'm going to put Mateus Nunes ahead of them in the midfield. Phil Foden alongside him. I want to see, obviously, Erling Haaland up top. Jeremy Doku on the right on his natural side, with Savinho on the left on his natural side. And I believe that's the team that I picked for Sporting Lisbon. It eventually became that, nearly, towards the end of the game. Obviously, Savinho came off and Doku came on at one moment, but the midfield became this towards the end of the game. So I feel like we should start the game like I suggested we should have started the game against Sporting, with this midfield. What I think Pep will do is this. I feel like he will rest Rico Lewis. I think he will be concerned about the speed from Matoma. I think we would see a little bit more of an isolated Kovacic, which scares the living shits out of me. And I think we will see Kyle Walker playing in there. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Doku dropped, Savinho over there, Nunes on the left, and Bernardo Silva, who desperately needs a rest for me in the middle. And that changes everything. What you'd see there is Akanji pushing and dropping and pushing into midfield likely, and a back three that would predominantly end up like this. But you're seeing Gvardiol come forward, and you'll see a focused back two at times, with Kyle Walker and Nathan Ake remaining at the back, and Akanji pushing and shoving, going back and forth in and out of that midfield and defensive line. But I think on paper, I think this is how the team would look originally, and I'm hoping he doesn't do it. This is not what I want. Like I said, the first team that you saw is what I want to see Pep do. I really want to see Mateus Nunes be trusted in the middle of the park, bringing us that physicality, the speed that he's got as well. He's a rock and roll footballer. He brings something different to the side that is missing for me. I think Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, Kovacic, brilliant technical players, but there's no physicality in that midfield. Even if you add Rico Lewis, there's no physicality to that midfield. You might see a bit more physicality if Akanji starts pushing up a little bit. But again, Kyle Walker is bang out of form right now, and I don't trust him. I've just lost my trust with him in one-on-one situations. He's getting beaten, and Matoma is going to be an incredibly difficult customer to deal with for Kyle Walker. I still believe we're going to win this game, and I actually have a feeling we're going to take them, not to the cleanest, but I think we're going to win 3 or 4-1. I feel like we could do some serious damage to the narrative that is surrounding Manchester City right now. I don't know where my confidence is coming from. It's certainly not manufactured out of thin air. It's built on evidence that Manchester City over the last years have gone through moments like this and come out the other side laughing and smelling of blue, beautiful roses. And I believe this is the moment where we can do it again. But if we lose this game, this is where we really need to start addressing the season on the whole, because this isn't just like, little moment here, moment there. This is a bad problem for Manchester City if we were to lose this game. Huge problem, because the incentive that would give Liverpool, who are playing at 8 o'clock, we're giving them we're rolling out the red carpet for Liverpool to go and win the league, which would be incredibly disappointing. But I feel like we won't do that. I feel like we are going to beat Brighton. I'm going to go with 4-1. I said 3 or 4. I'm going to go 4-1. I'm going to put my neck on the line, pull that fence out of my arse, and go 4-1. Come on, City. What are your predictions? Get in the comments below. Don't forget to join me for the watch long. Come and join me for that. What a feisty game this is going to be. Take care, Blues, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is typical